Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Shazwi. I will introduce the ZBest company. Okay. Okay. ZBest was a carpet cleaning and restaurant company set up by Barry Minkoff that filled in as a front for a Ponzi plot. In December 1986, the company opened up to the public and was quickly estimated at over 300 million. ZBest went bankrupt within 7 months of the IPO, and its capital was sold for approximately 64,000. Barry Minkoff shapes ZBest in his carport while in high school. The company inadequately and Minkoff was constantly immersed in consumer complaints and supply assortment requirement. Minkoff began committing illegal actions such as check kiting, thief security, threat, and extortion to subsidize operations and pay providers to create illusions and beneficial company. And Minkoff launching fictional insurance to repair and valuation firm within a couple of years of ZBest inspection. ZBest, while involved, was at the core of a credit card scam involving fraudulent charge of the 70,000. Despite the fact that Minkoff attribute blame to temporary staff and officials, apart from one, he reimbursed the totally of the casually a homemaker cheat out to all $300. That's all for introductions.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Siti Nurjana binti Zakaria. I'm from Group C. Today I would like to present about how the fraud was perpetrated and concealed in ZZZZ Best Company. Okay, Best Company. ZZZZ Best is a company established in massive fraud. ZZZ Company is initial public offering (IPO) was in December 1986, and the firm reached a market capitalization of over $200 million for collapsing. ZZZ Best, founded by Barry Minkow, was a carpet cleaning and restoration company that served as a front for a Ponzi scheme. While in high school, Barry Minkow formed ZZZZ based in his parents' garage. The business performed poorly, and 15 years old Minkow was often inundated with customer complaints and supplier collection requests. Minkow, at the start of his business, struggled to pay and meet the expenses of the ZZZ Best. His business accounts in the two banks were closed because he is only a minor back then, and the law did not allow minors to sign binding contracts. Including check, it did not. Restoration service was completely invented. To create an illusion of a profitable business, Minko began committing criminal acts such as check kiting, theft, theft insurance, scams, and fraud. Minko created a fake firm interstate appraisal service which posed as ZZZ Best clients. To keep the business running, Minko took loans from various Dabians, figures, and shuttled money between bank accounts in a Ponzi-style scheme. To engage with the loan providers, he opened a fictitious damage building restoration business, and he listed the company in the public stock market. The deception was convincing enough for banks to lend him enough money, not only to support an advertising blitz, but also to come close to taking over Kserve, a competitor. Minko and business associate Tom Paget created a fictitious company interstate appraisal service to defraud banks and other lending institutions out of millions of dollars to protect their fraud activities. He and his other two associates engaged in making fake invoices for salary as well as fake customer remittance check. As the Ponzi scheme continued, the ZZZ experienced significant cash flow problem. As a solution, Minko planned to acquire Ksev, Sears authorized carpet cleaner for $25 million. According to Minko, the revenues for Ksev would provide enough cash flow to end the Ponzi scheme. The production of these phony documents was skillfully done using photocopying equipment that the company auditors accepted them as evidence that actual sales or receivables transactions occurred. The company engaged in overbilling carpet cleaning customers through their credit cards. Due to complaint of overbilling by one carpet cleaning customer, the ZZZ Best carpeting fraud scam came to be exposed. By May 1987, on the eve of the takeover, the Los Angeles Times published an article detailing that Minko had previously been involved in $72,000 worth of fraudulent charges and was still refusing to pay some victim backs. Thus, the ZZZZ Best Company assets were forced to sell by the government to compensate victims of the fraud scam. The failure of auditing firms to uphold ethical and effective accounting practice caused the ZZZ Best fraud. Through an investigation into the ZZZ Best Company, it was found out that the company had operated for an estimated 5 years by using fictitious sales invoice and customer remittance check as a source document for the company receivable. This investigation led to the arresting, charging, and convicting of Barry Minkow and his business associates for engaging in fraudulent activities. He was sentenced for 25 years. Okay, next is who is the whistleblower of the ZZZ Best Company? Uh, the auditor. The auditor fell for the scheme and it was actually a whistleblower who realized what was going on and reported it to a newspaper. This fraud was disclosed when a former customer became a whistleblower to a local media news. It is because the company was charged with overbilling to customers through their credit card and due to complaint of overbilling by one carpet cleaning customer, the ZZZ Best Carpeting fraud scam come to be exposed. Why did not the auditor uncover the irregularities? Larry Gray, the partner in charge of auditing ZZZ Best, did what he was supposed to do, but in this case, he did not do it well enough. When ZZZ Best reported a $7 million contract to restore a building in Sacramento, Gray demanded to see the building. This was difficult because neither the building nor in the job existed. To launch an IPO, the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) requires a firm to compile a prospectus which must include a set of audited financial statements. Independent CPA firm Ernst and Winnie, now Ernst & Young, and audited ZZZ Best Financial to provide an opinion as to whether the financial statements were free of material misstatements. Assuming an independent third party provided the paperwork, the CPS used false appraisal documents to perform its audit. When the CPA firm requested to visit a building refurbishing customer site, Minko and his associate ran a building and created a bogus customer job site. Okay, next I will pass to the next presenter, which is Suliha. Thank you.
Ya, hai. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Suliha binti Halmi. I will proceed about pressure, opportunity and rationalization in ZZZ company. First, pressure. Pressure sometimes involves personal situations that create demand for more money or from problems on the job. In this case, Minko struggled to make basic expenses in his life, while to bank closed his business account because California law of the time did not allow minors to sign binding contracts include check. Faced with the shortage, Minko find a solution that he financed his business via check kiting, stealing and selling his grandmother's jewelry, staging theft at his office, and running up fraudulent credit card charge. Minko was exposed by discovery of credit card fraud that helped keep his company alive in early years. Minko also forged credit card applications, staged theft, used bogus financial statements, and used his networking skills to entice real investors. But Minko also made a serious problem that it made inflating the value of company and insurance restoration contracts. Net for opportunity. Opportunity refers to circumstances that allow fraud to occur because weak internal control, poor in management, and inadequate accounting policies. In this case, Minko to commit fraud was at best lack of financial supervision, lack of internal control facilitate manipulation of company assets and transactions. It gave Chief Financial Officer the opportunity to falsify the document and create fictitious transactions. Because of the weak external audit, it gives the opportunity to allow Miko to commit a fraud. The auditor was not familiar with the company and its related parties. In addition, the auditor placed too much trust in management-produced documents and failed to verify key transactions. This also gives the opportunity to Miko to making a fraud. The, the accountant who audited the company before it went public did not visit the insurance restoration site himself. For the short is the accountant not monitor the activity of Miko that give a Miko opportunity to make a fraud. Okay, next is rationalizations. Rationalization refers to individual justification for committing frauds. Okay, in this case, Miko used the word I start with the best of intention. Really, I can say that. That is a statement that Miko do show that he start lying because it was easy way to start and maintain his business. However, he could not stop after he borrowed a lot of money and forced to create a bigger lies to cover the small ones. Minko rationalizing behavior made it easy for him to continue lying in order to support the lifestyle and become habitual to do it and to keep his fraudulent company afloat. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you. I will pass to next presenter.
Assalamualaikum to my lecturer, Sir Azam and my fellow friends. My name is Nur Bazila binti Baharul Razak. I will present about the impact of ZZZZ company. The story of ZZZZ is one of the arrogant and ambitions. This is the plotline of 15-year-old boys in Reseda, California, who's been pushed to success at all costs. Barry Minkow is his name. There were high expectations for Minkow to make it large, which means becoming a millionaire very early in life. In the garage of his house, he begins a carpet cleaning company. Early on, Minkow realized that he was not going to abandon his home. Early on, Minkow realized that he was not going to become a millionaire sweeping the carpet on other individuals. He had planned bigger than that. In the insurance repair company, it was going to make Minkow strong. In plenty of other words, after a fire or flood, ZZZZ will contact them to do the carpet and wax cleaning job. The client will be eager to get the job done because the burning or heavy rains damage insurance will definitely be protected. Also, one issue will refurbishment of Minkow protection definition. All was fantasy. For insurance, there were no repairs job, at least for ZZZZ. Allegedly, about 80% of his income came from the job. In the course of being causing fraud, Minkow has been able to trick Ernst and Whitney, the auditor, to believing the refurbishment of coverage company was legitimate. Up until it was too late, the auditor never caught on. It has an impact on the business, company owners, shareholders, and the audit firm due to the spread of fraud committed. The impact on the business was filed for bankruptcy for ZZZZ. Minkow borrowed more than $1 million throughout the period of time that had elapsed, and the creditors were never refunded. Protected bankruptcy law those payments from Minkow and ZZZZ, they have to consider making them. Other than that, for $35 million shareholder class action was reportedly settled by ZZZZ lawsuit. For the 3-month period ending 31 July 1986, a bank that had generated a loan of multi-million-dollar based on the financial statement was sued Ernst and Whitney, now been known as Ernst and Young. In granting the loan to ZZZZ, the bank reported what it was depend on its analysis document released by Ernst and Whitney. The judge rules that since Ernst and Whitney had clearly declined to accept any perspective on the statement, the reliance on the review report was not justified by the bank. Barry Minkow was accused of participating in a $100 million fraud system. He had condemned to a term of 25 years. Minkow was released on a parole after serving 8 years in jail. Minkow became involved in the Christian ministry during his time in prison, which continued in April 1995, following his unsupervised probation release from jail. Today, having renounced his felonious act, he is the high-ranking church leader of the San Diego Church of the Community Bibles, California. Minkow is known as a fraud specialist and speaker in an attempt to prevent fraud. to undergraduates and the corporate sector on the issue. That's all from me. Thank you.
For conclusion, in January 1988, Minkoff and the 10 others company insider were indicted by a grand jury on counts of racketeering, money laundering, and security fraud. For Minkoff was also detected on count of credit card fraud and mail fraud. Approximately a year later, Minkoff was found guilty on all charges, was sentenced to 25 years in prison, was ordered to pay over 26 million restitution. After his release in 1995, he became an ordinary minister and served as a pastor of church in California. Minkoff informally investigated and reported other Ponzi scheme. From the success, he formed the Fraudulent Fraud Discovery Institute. In 2011, he was again convicted for fraud and sentenced to 5 years prison. A few years later, he was sentenced to additional 5 years in prison for defrauding his church. His restitution balance has increased tenfold to 612 millions. That's all for our groups. Thank you.